Welcome to Around the Bases, the pop culture and sports podcast with your host,
Charlie Seymour.
and I'm Tim Sternberg. Hit it, Nick.
And for today's episode, we have a very special guest, someone I've known probably close to 35 years. This is a good friend of mine from the Chicago area. Everyone welcome Sam.
Sam,
everybody.
welcome.
Hey,
Welcome,
everybody.
Sam.
How are you? It's good
Nice to
be
have
here.
you on board.
It's a
Welcome,
pleasure to be
Sam.
here.
Welcome.
Yes.
How you doing?
I can't
doing
tell you
really
how
well.
many different nicknames we have for this guy. We
Oh,
call
interesting.
him Sam. We call him Samwise. We call him Professor Frink.
Gamgee.
His last name is Frink. So as you can imagine, Professor Frink kind of just rolled growing up watching The Simpsons.
Right. I always I had a lie going that one of my uncles who was like a writer for the show. What she actually a guy named John Frink was a writer for the show, and the character is based off of him, but like no relation, even though Frink is like a really rare last name. Everyone my entire life everyone thought it was Frank. So like I have to go out of my way to be like Frink.
You're the first Frink I've met. So there you go. You're right.
So like our Chicago accent, like so whenever I was teaching, because I was a high school history teacher.
So was I.
Oh, okay. So we have a lot in common then.
We do.
I would always go, guys, I'm from Chicago because my accent makes me sound a little weird. So it's Frink like drink, essentially. I would like underline the I.
I would always just say Professor Frink from The Simpsons.
Yeah, exactly.
Of
But
course
yeah,
you would
it
have
is
a
such
different
it's a rare last name, and the religion. So people would think it is, but Frink is actually an English last name. So yeah.
My mother's maiden name is Clendenny, and people look at me like, because when I say, I tell people, "Oh, it's St. Patrick's Day, happy," you're not Irish. I'm like, "Yes, I am."
Oh no, I'm an eighth Irish, and actually a quarter Irish. Sorry, and then part of the O'Donnell clan, part of Northwest Ireland. We dominated Ireland. No, but we dominated Ireland between like the 4th and like the 9th century. So every time we go to one of our Irish restaurants here, it's called Hackney's. I've brought Charlie there a whole bunch of times, and they have like a whole Irish flag with all the crests, and we always look for our crest and stuff. So yeah,
love that.
Yeah.
So how do you know Charlie, as the layman who hasn't never met you before?
Gosh, we met in kindergarten when I moved from Buffalo Grove to out to Glenview at Willowbrook Elementary School, and we hit it off pretty fast.
Yeah,
and,
a pretty 35 years might have been on a tid too high, maybe 34, 33.
34, maybe, because I was a little late arriving.
I wasn't kidding. Kindergarten.
And
that's the true definition of a childhood friend.
From there, we've done what we've competed with each other in sports. Both pretty good soccer players. We were both fast, so that helped. We both went to camp together. Same fraternity. So I kind of had big life moments, together with this guy. So a lot of love for this guy.
Literally known him forever.
Yeah,
that's true brotherhood right there.
Oh, he's absolutely like
a definition of childhood friend. I mean, kindergarten. I mean, come on. And who remembers anything before? Well, you might, Charlie, but who remember? I don't remember.
No, not before kindergarten. Probably not.
No, but I mean,
have learned way too many useless facts since then that would have pushed out all of the kindergarten stuff.
The Simpsons took out kindergarten, everything before kindergarten.
The Simpsons took out, pretty much everything, maybe even up to first grade, because
exactly.
Man, we could just quote Simpsons for a whole episode.
Yeah, we talk about literally in Simpsonese. So yeah,
I love that. It's funny.
You go first. You go first.
I was just gonna say it's funny. Like several episodes ago, I'm showing my wall, and Charlie's eyes go immediately to the cell that's behind me. He's like, "Oh, I see it. Wait, pan up." It wasn't even on. The camera wasn't even on.
I could see it, and you knew I was gonna bring it up. It's funny though, because mine was a Simpsons thing too. I saw this thing on Twitter that you know how you can go on these rabbit holes, and the guy was basically asking the public, "What is your most quoted Simpsons anything?"
Not possible.
And his was, which is, it's a great one, and I loved it. Tim, I don't know if you'll know this, but I'm
Probably
1000% sure
not.
Sam will. But the episode where Homer is purposely gaining weight to go on disability. They're the kids are on the bus on the way to school, and they're like ripping Homer. And Lisa goes, my dad might be whatever, but he's not a food crazed maniac. And as she says it, Homer, who has stolen an ice cream truck while wearing a muumuu, is in the background eating it. He goes, "Ooh, this one's strawberry." And the guy would say, whenever he takes a bite of anything good, he just goes, "Oh, this one's strawberry." That was his, and it made me just to think, and I would wonder. I know what mine personally would be. I'm wondering if you guys have any. What's
Which,
your number
Simpsons?
one most quoted Simpsons anything? I think
Well-
I might know Sam's.
For me, it's "Don't Have a Cow, Man." I mean, that's an old classic.
Oh,
I used to, when
God.
I was a kid, I used to go around going, "Don't have a cow, man.
I know
don't
what
have a
mine
cow,
is.
man."
Wait, Sam,
Charlie,
Sam,
Charlie,
don't say
you
it
know
yet.
what
Don't
mine
say
is.
it. Don't say it. Don't say
Yes,
it. Don't
yes.
say it.
Oh,
Hold on. I wanna play a little game here, okay? I'm
Yeah.
gonna
Okay.
text Tim what
Yeah.
I
Oh.
think Sam's is,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then Sam's gonna say it out loud, and then Tim, you're gonna verify if I guessed it correct or not, just so we
Okay.
can keep it honest.
I love this. I love this. Okay, a game show. All right.
One eternity later.
I have sent a
Tell you-
message.
I'll tell
I
you the
have sent it to
episode,
Tim.
and you'll know if you're right, Charlie. I'll tell you.
Is the episode Itchy and Scratchy Land?
Yes, it is.
Okay, go ahead. Say it. Say it. Say it.
And was it? What? Nothing could possibly go wrong. Oh, that's the first thing that's ever gone wrong.
Tim, will you please read
What
the
could
text message?
possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? Well, what do you know? That's the first thing that could ever gone wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well
I
done,
capitalized the ly for possibly,
Yeah, because he said
Possibly.
possibly.
That's
And
literally
amazing.
because the only thing that goes wrong is him just incorrectly talking on it. I knew that was going to be yours, and I'm so glad
That's
that it was.
amazing.
Because
so
that's
good.
You would have had to
that's
give
awesome.
your childhood friend card back.
and-
yeah, I know.
What's funny is I think I have two for me personally, and the other one for me is from about 5 minutes earlier in that same episode that Sam's quoting. It's when they park, and he goes,
That's
"All right,
that's
guys,
probably the second
remember
most
we're in
quoted.
the itchy lot," and then it zooms out, and there's a million cars separated into two lots, itchy and scratchy, and that is it.
Dude, I do that so much when I'm with like my parents and like my sister that they do it, and my dad will be like, "Remember, we parked in the itchy lot." He's
so
like,
great.
Yes, like yes.
It's so great. And then
And
the
then
other one,
there's
That's funny.
Hold on, Charlie, really quick. One
Yeah.
other line in that episode that is absolutely amazing, and it is Marge talking about how like this was like the worst vacation like they've ever had or whatever. And then like Lisa goes, "What are you talking about?" And she goes about all these things about how it actually wasn't the worst vacation and it actually like the best. And then Marge like angrily just goes, "You're right. This truly was the very best vacation we've ever had. Now let's never speak of it again."
yeah.
I love that. Have you guys rode the Simpsons ride at Universal Studios?
I haven't been to
It's-
Universal in like
That's probably
Ooh.
semi
99.
newish, right?
Well, the reference to me is that used to be the Back to the Future ride, and they redid it for the Simpsons.
Ooh, that see, you
Okay.
learn
I
something new
remember
every
the Back to
day.
the
That's a
Future
great
ride.
piece of trivia right there.
And in the whole area, you guys, big Simpsons fans, would love it. Everything is Simpsons, and they even sell. I think they sell the donuts there. It's
Yeah.
great. It's great. They have Itchy and Scratchy in the background, and the whole thing. It's Sideshow Bob is there. You go in, it's like a big giant fun house, the ride itself, and then you go on. It's a
Wow.
virtual reality ride through the Simpsons universe.
Do they have a gift shop with Bort license plates? Because that's
yeah.
also that same episode,
That
Itchy and
is that same
Scratchy
episode.
Land. So
They
many
do
great
have a
ones
gift
in that
shop.
one.
I was so mad at the Simpsons because they took away Back to the Future, but it's a great ride. It's a great
If
ride.
anything's gonna replace it, Simpsons are a good follow up.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely.
My other one is whenever anyone's looking for the remote is did
Oh,
you
God.
check your pocket? It was in my pocket.
Charlie, I literally showed that to my dad like 3 or 4 days ago to like because I'm always saying that, like, did you like? So that is another one I'm like always saying, and then finally I showed it to him, and then like my parents were just like, oh, they were laughing.
They were
so hard.
dying because
amazing.
now they have another itchy lot one to quote. Because he says it with the megaphone on. It was, and then he realizes it's on, so then he turns it off.
It was in my pocket.
It was in my pocket. So good. It's so good. And Bart's delivery from yelling is, "Did you check your pocket?"
It's because
so good.
like Homer totally doesn't care about like Bart's welfare.
Yes, exactly.
And Bart knows he doesn't care, so like he's expecting a dumb question like that. So that's why it's such a hilarious like interaction.
It's so good.
There's a reason why that show has been on for, was it 30?
The longest running show in history.
Yeah, it's 35 seasons. It actually premiered the year I graduated from high school.
89, right? 89?
That was the year I graduated from high school, which is crazy. You guys were probably 4 or 5 at the time. It's crazy.
It was, I think, originally
I think that's probably when you met
on the
Charlie
Tracy Ullman show. Yep.
Yeah, it was. It was. And
yeah.
I was a big fan of Tracy Ullman's show. It was a brief little, like, it was like a little cartoon in the Tracy Ullman show. And when it came full length, I was hooked. Like in the beginning, I watched it all the time. And that was the early days of Fox too. Fox was pretty much an infant. I mean, you had, 21 Jump Street out there with Johnny Depp and Married with Children. But The Simpsons really kind of, yeah.
And then in the early
let me
years,
just throw on Mad TV to that as well.
Love Mad TV.
Of course.
God.
Oh, God.
And in the early years,
better than SNL.
And Living Color too. And Living Color was awesome.
Absolutely.
Also.
And in the early years of The Simpsons, one of our favorites, of course, when it was at its peak, Conan O'Brien was writing for him.
Yes, he was.
Conan.
Yes, he was. And you remember Futurama, which came after The Simpsons, and
also Matt Groening,
Also Matt Groening. I was a big Matt Groening just took off, and it's crazy that here we are 35 seasons later and it's still on the air. I mean, that's crazy for TV.
The tough thing is to keep it. The thing is that what they're able to do is they can keep it relevant. But like once again, it is hard because like how many storylines with the same characters can you do? Like how many different like ways can you mesh up the characters to create a storyline or something like that when you've done it 1,000 times or how many ever episodes there's been?
Yeah,
so, and you almost have to say, did we do this already?
Treehouse of Horror 42.
42, which this is from Treehouse of Horrors. The cell is, it's actually 3. No, it's 2 cells. The one cell is
that the one from The Shining?
I'm not sure which episode.
It looks like Homer's wearing the jacket.
I think it is from The Shining.
His Jack Nicholson Shining one.
So it's 2 cells. One is Bart and Lisa, and the other is Homer. And I just put them on top of each other to make it look like,
Got it.
Funny aside, real quick about The Shining. I'm a Jeopardy purist. That's like my game. As Charlie knows, I really want to be on it.
You should.
I have
pop culture.
He wants to be on the real one because he would kill it on the real one.
You can be on both.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. But like that's my dream. That's my game. It's always been my thing. So yeah, that I
He's
take the
freakish
test.
at it.
So you took the test?
Yeah, and what you need to do on the test, interestingly enough, for Jeopardy, is it's 60 questions. It's not multiple choice. You have to write the answer in. And you get 20 seconds per question, and you have to hit 45 of 60. And I'm able to hit about 50 to like 51.
That's impressive.
Yeah, as Charlie knows, I kind of have a gift for trivia that's kind of freakish, but like whatever.
Tim, just to show you when he's talking about he knows lots of things about lots of things, pick any country and ask Sam the capital of it in the world, any country.
Moldova.
Chisinau.
You're probably right.
I am.
Don't worry about it. You want me to ask Siri? Siri, what's the capital of Moldova? Chisinau. Chisinau.
You're unbelievable. Dude, you should definitely keep applying to the game shows, following your buddy Charlie's footsteps.
I mean, that is the dream. My big thing are probably geography and movies. yeah, movies are just ridiculous for me. I've been doing this thing where I've now seen every Best Picture nominee since 1943.
Nominee, not win. Nominee.
So the
Yeah.
You
last like
know,
500 like nominees for
Tim's
Best Picture I've
jaw
seen.
just dropped if you're listening, and that was the correct thing you heard. You heard it right.
I finished it off today. I watched Wilson, 1944. It was a biopic about Woodrow Wilson. Yeah. Yeah.
we're not
Yes.
worthy. I mean, that's incredible, man. Every time I think I'm a guru at pop culture, I meet somebody else like you that just, woo, that's
Yeah.
impressive. That's
Well,
impressive.
maybe obsessive. I don't know if it's impressive.
Well, you know what? We as humans all obsess over something, right?
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
we all have our obsessions. Mine was
That's true.
sweepstakes and entering and winning them, and
Hey.
yours is trivia. So
Yeah, no, I don't have the luck to do that. Charlie's always the winner of certain things winning.
Charlie, it definitely has the luck. I know. Yes.
Yeah,
Charlie
when he-
well, it's a little skill too.
I like to think Frank's got some pretty good luck on his side at times too.
I think we can
We're
agree.
gonna have a luck off.
No, I think we can both agree who's the luckiest of our friends.
Oh yeah, that goes without saying.
That goes without saying. We won't mention his name, but it is by a lot.
So not for mention.
Let's just say there's certain mob codes in play.
There may be some mafia.
Oh, we're not
codes
gonna.
in
Yeah, no, it's fine.
But
This is a happy-go-lucky podcast. So.
But I didn't before you jump off of the whatever capitals. My all-time favorite capital is because of Sam. The capital of Burkina Faso is Ouagadougou.
Yeah, it's spelled Ouagadougou. Ouagadougou.
Ouagadougou. That's my favorite one, and
It's
I
so much
always
fun to
know that
say.
one. Yeah, that's one
All
that
right,
I'll
Sam.
never forget.
Yeah.
So, since you are a geography guru, I'm
Sure.
looking up something. I'm going to
Yeah.
ask you a question. So, I
do
don't
my
know if
best.
you know this, but I was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire back in 2001 with Regis.
Oh, I know the
And-
question you're going to ask.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the question I walked away on because I didn't want to lose my money was the $32,000 question. And I
Okay.
want to lose 16,000, so I got my 16,000 and ran. But I'm going to read the question to you because I think you're going to get this. And you know, all right, no lifelines or anything, but here we go. The South China Sea lies between China and which of these countries?
Philippines.
He correctly, Tim is officially stunned. He correctly answered before Tim gave him any choices.
Oh my god!
I told you. I told you.
Oh my god! This is like that day with the Funko Pop and freaking Marty McFly. Like that. Moment.
Okay, so this is full circle, Tim. Back when we were in Atlanta, we went one night to play bar trivia. Remember, I told you one of my friends is like the ringer for that. Now you know I wasn't kidding. Oh. Tim was just left speechless right there.
Unbelievable. Like I literally sat there as Regis read the choices. And
what were the other?
I'll tell you
choices?
the choices.
Yeah,
right. They were.
Can I guess what the choices were?
Now
I guess what the choices were.
Well, now I'm stunned altogether.
Wait, hold on. Let him
guess. I'm gonna guess. Indonesia was a choice.
No.
Not a choice. Taiwan.
No.
Okay,
you're making me feel worse because.
Okay, let me hear what the choices are.
No. All right. Here they go. All right, Japan.
Oh God.
South Korea and Sri Lanka.
No. Oh no. Oh. Oh no. Oh no.
I'm dead.
So,
audience.
I'm sorry.
I take it that none of those are anywhere close.
All right. Going forward, Around the Bases will be hosted by Charlie Seymour and Sam Frink.
No, South Korea was your closest other than the Philippines, but it's
wow. You're amazing. I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
He also can do country flags, every single country flag.
Oh, I don't know if I can now, but I'm pretty good with them. But I think the question that I think got us third place out of when we had literally there were like 4 of us, and then there was like other tables with like 12 people, and they were like cheating and stuff, and like we weren't. And like finally there was like a bonus question. It was like, what are the 2 capitals that start with a J? And I'm like,
Jakarta.
Yeah. And the other one is so absurdly ridiculous that I had to get it in 30 seconds that I cannot believe I pulled this out of my butt. It first I was like, it's not going to be Johannesburg, even though it's potentially one of the capitals of South Africa. They're probably going to say it's like Pretoria, Cape Town. And at that point, Jerusalem was they had not moved the capital from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. So I came up with Juba, South Sudan for like
Isn't that
for
ridiculous?
the win. For the
How?
win. I don't know.
How?
I just remembered that. Oh, that's right, Juba. And then we ran it up there, and we finished in third.
Charlie, this dude legit has Google in his head.
I know. That's why I said that if I had anything in that realm, he'd be my lifeline in that realm.
Wow.
Like, there's no one who knows more about that stuff.
Jeopardy, what's up, Jeopardy? Come on. Wow.
It's gonna
man.
happen one day.
Come
You know,
on.
We're
my
calling it
issue-
now, but you guys are gonna see him on Jeopardy one day.
I was always a dork, so like in third grade, I literally asked my teacher, I think it was Miss Cohn, to like give me the 50 state, like the test where I literally fill out the states with all of like the capitals in it, and got them all. And this was like third grade.
Ever hear the story of Mary Lou Henner, from Taxi? She has a legit memory, which she can actually remember every single day of her life. Like,
I think that's called didactic memory.
Didactic memory, yeah. She should say, like, on September 26, 1986, I was doing this. I had to go to the post office and this. I'm like, how is that possible?
Is that a photographic memory on steroids, basically?
Basically,
yeah.
Yeah.
I've always said
there's only
mine,
like
Charlie,
a handful
is-
of people.
I've always said that mine is like semi-photographic, because I have another trick I can do, which is obnoxious. It's with
I
numbers
remember.
and letters.
Yeah.
So if you give me like a piece of paper with just a series of like 100 numbers or digits on it, and give me say 5 to 10 minutes, I'll hand you the piece of paper back and read it perfectly for you, and then I can do it 6 months later.
That's incredible.
That's
incredible.
I have a very specific memory when we were kids where he did it with the back of his Blockbuster card. He would just like take someone's Blockbuster card that had like 26 numbers and letters, and he'd say, "Hey, let me see your Blockbuster card." And about 30 seconds later, he'd hand it back, and he'd go, "Okay, here's your card number." He was like, "Wait, what?" And then he'd flip it over, and he's reading off his thing. It's crazy.
That's incredible. When I'm in Chicago in a couple of weeks, we're gonna have to play some bar trivia with Sam.
Oh God,
Sam is our guy.
Man, if you want to do some bar trivia,
absolutely.
I'm definitely down for some bar trivia.
Yeah, I think we would kick butt. Absolutely. You got a ringer. So watch out, bars around the Chicagoland area.
Very cool. Very cool.
I know you're not a big reality fan per se, but I do want to mention this real quick. Charlie, I'm sure you're aware, they actually officially released, which was very interesting to me, very early. I think because there were so many leaks that were happening,
they wanted to squash some of the names. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, the host came out on a video, and actually, I think during the Today Show even today. And so some interesting names here. Sam, I was talking to Sam off air a little bit. Sam did watch the early seasons of Big Brother. So Sam, Danielle Reyes. Sure. She was early on. She's going to be on Traders. Brittany Haynes, also from Big Brother, is going to be on. And then we have, of course, every Survivor fan knows Boston Rob, making a quick return from reality TV, from Deal or No Deal Island to the Traders.
He probably never left if they're filming in the same spot. He just kept the same suite.
He's probably the most successful, I would say, contestant out of a reality contestant of all time.
Yeah, I think so.
Got to be close. Although a lot of people were making fun of him for not winning anything recently. But
I don't know his recent, but back in the day, I know he finished second to his future wife, and he was fine with that. Yeah. And then he won another season later on with it was the All-Stars maybe. So like the guy, very smart, very much how I would play the game, where you kind of put the charm offensive at the beginning, but you're always doing playing chess. You're doing a little game theory, and you are just trying to game out essentially what you can do and how you can mess with people, but in a very kind way.
Yeah,
to speak.
that's Rob's game.
That's
to
a great
T.
way to perfect explanation of Rob's game. If there's any game I think that he has an even kind of playing field on, it's this one. I think he has a chance on Traders. I really do.
And
I don't
he's
think Deal or No
joined.
Deal.
And he's joined by 3 other Survivor alum.
Yeah,
What
Carolyn.
is the concept for traders?
So there are house gets, basically like Big
Okay.
Brother kind of. They're
Sure.
in a castle in Scotland, a Scottish castle.
Very cool. Very
And
cool.
the host, Alan Cumming, great
Yes,
actor.
great actor.
They have the first round table and everyone's blindfolded. And he goes around and taps 3 of their backs, basically saying you're a traitor. And so the 3 traitors meet at this turret up in the castle and they decide who they want to murder. And
There's about 20 or so faithful. It starts with almost 20-ish, 21, 22 people.
Yeah. And then so they decide who they want to murder. Now on the flip side, the next day they have a round table where everybody gets to say who they think the traitor is and what the traitors is, and whoever gets the most votes also gets banished from the house. So
now
there's
this would
2
be very
ways to
similar
leave.
to the game that we've all played when we were kids with the winking.
That's exactly what it is.
Exactly
but
like
Yeah.
for
that.
high stakes.
Got you.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
It's a great show. I heavily suggest if you haven't seen it yet.
Before the voting at night, they like have a challenge where people can try to be sneaky and win immunity for the night if you don't trust people.
Kind of
there's all
mole-ish.
sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
One
like
thing
a
I will
mole.
be watching that is just premiered because it is hosted by my favorite comedian. Charlie and I saw this guy live 10 feet in front
And
of us.
Tim is blocked on Twitter by this guy.
It's
Patton. It's Patton.
It's Patton. Patton Oswald. And it's the 1% Club. And I know you might not have not love Patton, but I
No,
worship
I think it's a
him.
running
love
joke.
Pat-
I think it's a running joke now where
I love
he
Patton, actually.
he loves
I
him.
have
He's
no
still not
problem
sure
with him.
why he's blocked.
I think it was an accident.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
know.
No,
So
that's
Patton
no worries.
Oswald, if you're out there, love you.
please
don't
please
know.
unblock our good pal at Trivia Chat. Please.
No, he's such a legend. He's so funny. Some of my favorite bits of all time. So yeah, I will be watching
That
him.
started, didn't it? Aren't there 1 or 2 episodes already out?
It's on Prime. It's gonna be, I believe, on one of the major networks.
I think it's on Fox and then Prime next day.
No, it started on Prime already. It's not. I don't believe it's premiering until June. Or
No, it just premiered yesterday. 2 days
it just
ago.
premiered yesterday, 2 days ago. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's starting on, like, it'll come on Prime, and then like 4 days later it'll be on the networks. So they're doing it the opposite way. I don't know why.
Interesting. Well,
Very
I have
interesting.
Prime.
Yeah, I do
But
too.
I've not seen it
I
yet.
watched the premiere episode.
Oh, you did. So can you explain it? Explain the game.
So it's really a mental game. So it's almost like an IQ test on steroids, where they're asking everybody. There's 100 contestants in the audience, and they're
Yeah.
asking everybody a mental acuity question, kind of like which one of these is the. It's hard to explain, but which one of these is not like the other, or which letter comes after it. You know how you take these IQ test type of questions, and
Yeah.
the idea, the why it's called the 1% Club is they start with, okay, 95% of the people that were surveyed with this question got it right. And then they keep progressively going lower and lower. So the next question, 80%, next question, 70%, until they get, and as they go, if a contestant gets a question wrong, it's bye-bye, they leave. And until they get like halfway through the game, they get a lifeline, which is basically they can skip a question if they are not sure.
Okay.
How many
then later-
contestants per episode?
100.
100.
Oh, 100. Okay.
Sound familiar?
Sounds familiar.
The thing is, we stayed the entire season, but that's another story.
Yeah.
So then they start to whittle them down. And once they get like to halfway, they get that lifeline, and then a little bit more, they can cash in the lifeline for $1,000, which they get
To keep?
but they also, I think they have to leave the game or something. I don't know. Like I
So this
remember
also
exactly.
has some 1 versus 100 kind of vibes.
Very much, yes. Very similar to another show I was on, 1 vs. 100, hosted by the late great Bob Saget. Yeah, a little bit like that.
Oh,
And then
wow.
the first episode, I don't want to give too much away, but they didn't have a lot of contestants left. And then you get to go for the pot. And if you don't want to go for the pot, you can like take a smaller amount and go home or something like that. You don't have to go for the pot.
Interesting.
I think it's $10,000 or something like that you could take and go
And
home.
is that another like single question they have to get right to win?
Yeah, yeah. And I won't tell you what happened because I want you to enjoy the first episode. But
No, absolutely.
yeah, it's good. It's a great show hosted by a great host. He's Patton Oswalt is good. I like his back and forth with.
I don't know
the
if he's natural for a
contestants.
game show host necessarily. But he's like very personable in general. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I had concerns honestly about Drew Carey before he hosted The Price is Right, and he's fabulous. Yeah, I think Drew is great. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see.
It's good enough where you're gonna watch another episode, Tim?
Yeah, I'll watch it again. I'm not clamoring to watch
Yeah,
it
I
by
gotcha.
any
Okay.
stretch of the imagination.
One of my things, and obviously a big movie guy, but is that because I've seen so much, like one of the things that wins like the day for me now with movies is originality. Like something I've like not seen because like every movie I see is like, oh, it's a this cross with this or something like this. And like I know like what's gonna happen like after like the first 5 minutes because like they're Chekhov gunning the crap out of someone. Like it's like, yes, I know they're the killer. You've been making it very evident since the beginning of the movie.
Obviously, obviously.
But yeah,
I just saw a great movie,
a
The
Fall Guy.
Fall Guy.
Fall Guy. Loved it. Loved it. Like really, you think, back to the old original show that was on in the 80s, The Fall Guy, which it's based off of.
Oh, I
It's
didn't
kind
realize
of
that.
formulaic and great show. And I loved the movie. It was not what I expected at all. The story kind of drags a little towards the end, but it's really good. I definitely recommend. It's a good popcorn movie.
As someone who's seen it, and was expecting to love it, I surprisingly hated it.
You didn't like The
Uh,
Fall Guy.
no, I hated it.
Why?
And I was shocked because I love Gosling. I love what Deadpool and what David Leitch had done. But I just found it very smarmy, very like full
It
of
was.
itself,
It
and
was
I didn't. None of the characters were like I could really root for
likable.
or relate to.
Yeah.
Not likable like at all. And like I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson just was kind of a goofy bad guy, and it just Hannah Waddington or is it Waddingham Charlie Waddingham, who we obviously love from Ted Lasso, was kind of just nothing. I just really underwhelmed by it in general. And this
Would
is
you
from
say
a
your
guy
expectations were high?
very high.
See, I didn't
And
have the high
I
expectations.
was anticipating giving it I do IMDb ranking, so I base it out of 10 for my films that I rank. About 4,700 at this point. I know that's a lot.
That's incredible.
It's too much. And then but I was
Nearing
expecting like
5,000.
I was expecting, yeah, I am 9 or 10, and or maybe an 8 or a 9, and I give it a 3.
Ooh, that is low.
So
See, I would have given
yeah.
it probably a 6 or a 7. But
Okay.
again, I think high expectations does play a bit. And Charlie will tell you, I am not a normal movie goer in the theaters. I'll see stuff on streaming just because I don't have the time to go all the time. And so when I see a movie, it's kind of an experience for me anyway. So I think I maybe have some unrealistically high expectations.
It
for
is
certain
at
things.
a 7 right now on IMDb.
Okay. Yeah, that's what
I
think that's
think
fair.
Metacritic too is Metacritic's my main go-to for kind of how I source like what I'm gonna watch because I can't watch everything. So I like to watch the best of the best and then the worst horror movies you've ever seen. I'm like addicted to them. I've seen some bangers this year, like Tarot, The First Omen, Exorcist Believer. Oh my God, some trash.
I haven't seen horror movies in a long time.
I love and terrified. Great. I know we got into Jeopardy. What I was going to say earlier about that was tonight's Final Jeopardy clue it was movies was the category. So I'm like,
Oh,
I wonder
man.
how
Oh,
many
tell
seconds
us.
this is gonna take
Tell us.
me. I wonder how many seconds this is gonna take me. And the clue related to these two twin girls who were talking about how they like look naturally spooky. I'm like, okay, it's my favorite horror movie ever. It's The Shining. It's very obvious.
There's
And
Johnny.
right, and so obviously that was it. Now, they all got it, but I was kind of disappointed because I was like, too easy. I pulled out one yesterday that in the last second that I have no idea. It was like theater, and the question related to like it was like 14 men star in this play that came out in 2004 or whatever. And at the last second, I don't know how I pulled this out. 12 Angry Men,
Yep. Great movie. Great
which is a
play.
great movie,
Great
but
book.
I didn't realize, but no idea it was not a play until 2004.
Really?
Because it was a film first, I guess. So
Yep.
yeah, so it was like, oh, I was like, yes. Sometimes I'll do
Love
that. Just get
That's
very
pretty
excited.
good, though. A lot of it is inferencing and kind of process of elimination too. Sometimes when you're pulling this stuff out, I do have a question, real quick, going back to the ratings. So Charlie and I've had
Yeah.
multiple discussions on this
Yes.
movie. And speaking of Ryan Gosling, I have to ask this question: what was your
Mhm.
number for the Barbie movie?
10.
Yeah, I
Fall
would have
Guy,
given
I
it a
just
3.
noticed Metacritic. Fall Guy has a 73 on Metacritic.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I was
I'm in the minority.
I was one of the few people on this earth who did not like the Barbie
He was in the
movie.
minority on Barbie. So
Yeah.
everybody's got one.
And honestly, I'll say this real quick because it's old news on this podcast, but love the theme. I love the ideas, the theme, etc. And I guess I went into it with high expectations because it was so campy to me that I mean, what do I expect from a Barbie movie? But still, I don't know. Like I didn't I give it a 3. I don't maybe should be a little more generous with it. I don't hate the
With
movie, but
I will say what's important to note is the creators behind it are a pair of filmmakers who are geniuses.
right.
Both have been nominated for Academy Awards, and they had a vision that I think that they executed very well. Even though it was campy, it was intentionally like
Mhm.
super campy. Like even like I'm Just Ken, which was at the Oscars.
Love that
Uh,
song.
which is like I thought was like a goofy song. But then like
Um,
after hearing it a few times, I'm like it's actually a great song.
yeah.
But like I just thought that movie hit every right note, and I'm a big fan of movies with a big heart that don't feel phony. If you've got a big heart, but you're like I call that saccharine, I call that sappy, and kind of your Forrest Gumps, which is a kid you love, but then you kind of watch again, you're like, oh, and then like he kind of just fall ass backward into like everything.
Yeah. 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 I like I said, it has a great message and cinematically beautiful film, absolutely
Yes.
beautiful film.
Oh yes.
I think it should have won more awards for that personally. I just and mind you too, Oppenheimer I wasn't a great fan of either. The whole 2 last movies last year that people were usually so yeah, the Fall
Barbenheimer.
Guy, Barbenheimer, yes.
I
But
I thought last year's lineup of Best Picture nominees was the strongest ever.
so you think Oppenheimer was deserving of the award?
That was like my sixth favorite movie of the year. So
Wow.
Past Lives was my number one. I'm not sure if you've seen it. I'm trying to
No,
get everyone to see Past Lives. So
I
good,
definitely want to see
little
it.
independent. It was the smallest film nominated. The Zone of Interest, brilliant.
Yeah.
Barbie, Maestro, um, and forgetting one.
Maestro was with Bradley.
I thought that was fantastic. I know some people
He
were not a huge
directed it.
fan, but
Was it the Apple TV one?
Bradley Cooper. No, Bradley
Or
Bradley
Cooper.
Cooper.
That was Netflix.
No,
Yeah,
I
Wasn't
know.
he
I'm
the
saying the one you're
director or
forgetting.
producer too?
he was. If you
Yeah.
don't know this, Bradley Cooper's actually been nominated for 13 Academy Awards.
He's great. I like Bradley. Always have.
But yeah,
Um,
but I thought, I mean, the worst of the films was probably Anatomy of a Fall. I was disappointed in that, one of the foreign films, the French one. And then my biggest disappointment was probably Killers of the Flower Moon.
That's
a
that's
book,
what I was asking for Apple TV one.
a
Killers of the
book I
Flower Moon.
loved with a director who's maybe my favorite. well, I would say the Coen brothers are my favorite directors. But
Me
Scorsese,
too.
Marty,
Fargo is one of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah, oh I could go into forever
Yeah.
on them.
Me
But
too.
Marty's probably number 2 for me, and yeah, I thought it was miscast. I didn't like DiCaprio in that role. It just Lily Gladstone was good, but like if we're talking, oh, here's the movie I forgot, Poor Things, brilliant.
Yeah,
Yorgos Lanthimos, who just
I've heard of that.
directed Jesse Plemons to a Best Actor award at Cannes. So yes, this guy can. He's fantastic. And Poor Things with Emma Stone, her best performance ever, even better than her
Love
in
Emma
La La
Stone
Land.
so much.
She is so good in this movie, and it's such a weird movie because this guy is weird. He's a Greek director who's part of what we call the Greek weird wave. But once again, just a stunner. Loved it, and it's Willem Dafoe is great. Mark Ruffalo is great. So yeah, Poor Things for people.
I love Emma Stone, and La La Land is also one of my. It's up there. I love that movie so much, and so I definitely want to see that because I'm a fan. Yeah, I didn't see a lot of movies last year. I don't know, like I was off. I haven't seen a lot this year. I mean, The Fall Guy. I've seen a couple. I saw Ghostbusters, which I liked. I liked the newest Ghostbusters movie. He's like, did you?
As a purist, I can't.
I didn't love it. I liked it. Here's
it has
here's the
Patton, and I'm still like, nah.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I was upset. I will tell you why. As a purist too, because I'm original Ghostbusters, Ray Parker Jr., the whole original movie.
Yeah, sure.
I thought they sold it as being, oh, all these guys are coming back. Of course, Rick Moranis didn't come back. They're coming back and blah blah blah. And their roles were so small in the movie, and you don't even see Bill Murray until towards the very end of the film. Like, I'm like, what is going on?
So what I call that is fan service.
Yes.
It's for the fans. It's all that it's for. It's not to help the story out in any way, shape, or form. A movie that did this for like an hour was the Spider-Man, the last Spider-Man.
The one where they bring back the other Spider-Man?
Yes, and they're essentially
spoiler alert.
Yeah, but they're essentially remember they're at the Statue of Liberty or whatever, and they're like having a chat. That's literally
they're
like
on the crown.
They're having a table read. Okay, they're just like having a general like chat that's going on like in this massive budget movie. I'm like,
I think it was meant to like mimic that meme that you see with the Spider-Man.
Yeah, no, they were doing all of that stuff, but that's all fan service, right? That doesn't help the story necessarily, 100%. But it's great. The fans are gonna eat it up. Yeah,
and they did. They did.
Yeah, they did.
Did you see? Did you? I won't say anything. But the other guys are back, and that whole thing, when it was kind of like, by the time I saw the movie, I'm like, yeah, I know they're all in it.
Yeah, and then I remember when I think it was a DoorDash driver that like broke the news to the world. He delivered food to Andrew Garfield while they were filming, and Andrew Garfield answered the door himself, and he tweeted it so innocently, and then it blew up, and everyone realized that all of them were in the movie. That's literally how it broke.
Knowing where the story was going, you kind of figured that they were going to do that. It was a multiverse. I like the idea. I mean, as a big, huge Spider-Man fan, and I was upset when Tobey Maguire was no longer Spider-Man, to be honest with you. I thought it was an interesting idea and a nice way to kind of make it all gel as one kind of franchise. But you're right, to have fan service, as you call it, towards the end, it was not justice for that.
There's only the multiverse has really only worked twice. And I can't say it's worked in.
You think Avengers Endgame?
No, I don't think it's worked in Marvel.
Yeah,
I think Marvel's really fallen off, especially lately. But Everything Everywhere All at Once, which I think is one of the
I love that movie.
That's such a great movie.
That movie still you're talking about, it gives me goosebumps. I love that movie so much.
No, like
makes you think.
That's one of those movies that like I watched. I'm like, as soon as I watch them, like this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen. I tried to tell everybody, but it's like the rare thing that then goes on and wins every award and like completely justifies. Like, yep, yeah, I did just see like one of the greatest things ever.
See, Sam, I feel better
what's your
now
other?
because
What's
we
the other
agree.
one?
Because I love that movie also. It's one of my favorites of all time.
What's your other multiverse one that you thought worked?
It's gonna be the Spider-Verse.
Oh,
the
you're talking about
Cartoon.
Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah.
Into the
Yes.
Spider-Verse. Yeah.
Yes. Fascinating.
That's so
really well
great.
done. So creative. It did lose out to one of my favorite director, actually my favorite director, who is Hayao Miyazaki. He's a Japanese anime director. He directed The Boy and the Heron, which won the Oscar this year over the Spider-Man film.
The sequel.
One of our family members, Frank, who was on an earlier podcast with us, is a huge fan of that series. You remember Frank was talking
Miyazaki?
about it?
Yeah.
Just
He also was
Hayao Miyazaki.
more things too.
Totoro.
So, Frank.
Love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
he did. He did.
What I
Frank
missed your
is a big
shirt,
movie
Sam.
buff.
What shirt is it?
It's Totoro.
Oh, okay.
The mascot for
I
Studio
love
Ghibli.
that. I love
Yeah.
that.
So, and then, by the way, for anyone listening, all of these movies are ready to go with English dubs with some of the best actors, American actors, all on Max. There's literally an entire Studio Ghibli page on HBO Max, and every single one is there. So, Spirited Away is the one that I would tell everyone to go see first. It changed how I saw films forever, especially foreign films. Like, I'm not an anime guy at all. I do not like anime. And so I was very hesitant knowing what, it was Japanese, 15 minutes in, mouth just I couldn't register what I was seeing. It was so
I'm a
brilliant.
huge fan of Japanese anime art. I love I just love the art. Just even if
I
there's
don't
no
like
story involved, I love the art.
I'm not a huge fan of the art style of basic Japanese anime. But this is different because it's all hand drawn. Some of the most gorgeous stuff you could possibly imagine. Every cell is hand drawn. This last movie, he essentially did it by himself, more or less, drawing almost every cell. Took him 9 years.
Wow.
9 years. And the guy's 85.
Wow. You see now, I don't think I have Max. I have to see. Charlie has got me on a bunch of subscriptions. So now Sam, okay, Max, I will I will get myself a Max because I love that stuff too. I mean, I just that's the great thing about streaming. If you don't get to the movies, you can kind of just I'm going to catch it here, I'm going to catch it there, I'm going to put it on the list, as they say, and that is going on my list.
I actually have 9 streaming services.
Speaking of streaming, Sam, weren't you also recommending the new Netflix? I mean, I shouldn't say new Netflix because it was in theaters, but Netflix just got the recent Godzilla movie,
-1.
Right? Yes, Godzilla -1.
Absolutely, probably the greatest Godzilla movie I've ever seen.
Really?
Just like a couple days ago, it just dropped.
So good.
So let me ask you a question, Sam. I mean, Godzilla, I remember as a kid watching Saturday morning, the 1930s and 40s. It gets very formulaic. Here's Godzilla with the breathing fire and he's destroying buildings. What makes it this one, without giving away too much, what makes it kind of the best?
Well, yeah, you're right. Studio Tojo, which was the creator of the Godzilla franchise, started in the late 50s as a answer to the atomic weapons usage in Hiroshima and Nagasaki in World War II. So it was kind of a direct response to that. And so the original is very good. It's like Raymond Burr, I think, is in it. Yeah, it gets really dumb to the point where the 10th movie, it's got a weird name. The bad guy's got a weird name, but the American title is literally called Godzilla versus the Smog Monster.
Yep. It was Godzilla versus this, Godzilla versus that. Yeah.
And it's what are you guys doing? But this is gorgeous. The special effects, which they did on a micro budget, stunning to the point where they won the Oscar for special effects, and they all brought little Godzillas onto the stage with them. It was
I do remember
very cute. But it's beautiful. The story is perfect. And it's a banger.
What's it called again?
It's Godzilla -1. You don't have to put up with Kong and I just saw Godzilla and Kong and oh my god.
For the upteenth time, by the way, they've done so many.
Godzilla that franchise started.
But this one, isn't there a Baby Kong?
maybe. But the franchise started in 2014, and it was a disaster from the beginning. And then they did Godzilla and Kong, and they fought Mecha Godzilla, and that one I actually kind of liked. But then this last one was just ancient aliens mixed with like kaiju. It was really dumb. Yeah.
Yeah, listen, as a kid, I mean, I remember Saturday and Sunday mornings in New York. I grew up in New York. So the TV was on Saturday, it was like the Godzilla movies, King Kong, blah, blah, blah. And on Sunday, it was like Laurel and Hardy, the Three Stooges. And so I've seen like all of that. So that was my
That's
whole
great.
childhood. So anytime I see like that in the popular culture, I'll kind of be a little hesitant because it's like touching something that, I hold dearly like you. And so now that you say this, I will watch that movie before the next episode, Charlie.
Oh God, please do.
Me too. I might do it tonight.
And what I've heard, and there is a copy of this of the movie floating around that is black and white, but when Godzilla gets radioactive, his spikes come out and he turns like blue. In the black and white version, it turns blue.
That's amazing.
That's the only color in the entire movie. That's the only color in the entire
Tells you how important it is, like how important that moment is.
But like it's just so good, and I consider it a movie from last year, so I'm not gonna put it on this year's list. But if I put it on last year's list, it would have definitely been in the top 10. Yeah.
Sam, you have to be our movie guy. You're awesome. Like
and this is the perfect way to bring it full circle because Sam, you have a project that you're working on.
That's true.
That involves movies.
Ooh, please tell us. Yeah.
I have a new website out. I'm pretty excited about. It's called Movies with Professor Frink. The website right now is a little bit wonky because I just started it up, but it's got about 11 or 12 articles on there. Real quick, I'll just read off the URL. No, I'll read off the URL right now. It's kind of wonky.
To our listeners, by the way, we will link your website on our podcast so that
I won't even
it'll be in our description. Yeah, we'll have it in our description.
Great, because it's a Wix site, and it's but so far it's going really well. So last few articles of 5 must-see foreign films, a guide to watching elite foreign films. I'm really into foreign films. So like documentaries. I have an article called "Why Holocaust Movies Are Uniquely Terrifying While Exorcism Movies Are Hilarious," which is a think piece about the terror, horror, the existential nature of kind of like of the real life versus, there's the devil, and we're gonna read the Bible at you, and all of a sudden everything's gonna be okay. And then a whole bunch of things. So I actually literally did an Academy Award Best Picture ranking where I went 1 to 97 because I've seen them all, obviously. So
I know.
If you want to know that, I guess because I've seen every Best Picture.
As a little taste of that, what's number 1 and what's number 97?
Number 1 is gonna be, oh God, Chuck, don't do that.
Sorry,
don't do 1.
Okay,
if I'm gonna do it,
I'm gonna have to start calling him Chuck.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Or Haish was a 1 back in the day. It's a personal one that I gave him.
Let's go into Charlie details. Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna say I want to go back and I'd say something easy like Casablanca or something like that, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna say something more recent. One of them, Everything Everywhere All at Once, I do think is that, and then I think Charlie and I are in agreement with another one. It's dark, Chuck. I think I know which one I'm talking about. 2007, Tommy Lee Jones,
Coen Brothers.
The end. Yep.
No Country for Old Men.
For Old Men.
It's one of my all-time favorites.
Brilliant. Cormac McCarthy, who is one of the greatest contemporary writers. He also did The Road, which was a movie with Viggo Mortensen, which was a terrible movie, but a great book.
Javier Bardem.
Wasn't he
a late Woody appearance?
Yes, there is a Woody appearance. We get Woody, Tommy Lee Jones, Josh Brolin, Javier Bardem, the Irish actress, I always forget her name, that plays the wife. She was really good. But it is
What's
just
the most you've ever lost in a coin toss? The most you've ever lost.
You with these
that
quotes.
that dialogue in the gas station is great.
Ooh,
I honestly think the ending is perfect. He's describing his dreams. It's a very simple scene because the climax in No Country happens like with 45 minutes left, right? And then it's kind of just talking it out. And he's talking about his dreams he's having about his father, especially one where he's like the olden days, and he's talking about how his father had like a fire and a horn like they used to have or whatever, and he went on ahead, and then he knew that when he was ready he'd be there for him. And it was, the metaphor is saying that like there's always gonna you're always gonna be the old man, or you're eventually going to be the old man, right? And the new times are gonna push you out. And
And then I woke up.
and then I woke up. Exactly. And it
Such
literally
a
it's
great
just a
movie.
clock. It's literally a clock going, and it's black. It's like,
Isn't
yes,
Dillahunt's in that movie too, right? He's the young sheriff or the young cop, I
he
think.
might be. He might be.
I think he is.
I mean,
So-
who? I mean, the Coen Brothers. I mean, come on, they're so
so
good.
is that your
But,
number one?
those are my two favorites, and the
Okay.
worst best picture of all time is Gigi,
Oh
1958.
God, yes, that was remade, right? Wasn't it remade by?
No, that was, you're thinking
Oh.
G Lee,
Oh, G.
which
Lee.
is a Ben Affleck J Lo
Yes,
movie,
that
which
J.Lo
is one of the worst
movie.
movies ever. No, Gigi
Yes.
is set in France, and it is one of the creepiest movies I've ever seen. Including the beginning is a musical number with a guy, an older gentleman, who's singing "Thank Heaven for Little Girls." Ones that are 5 and 6 and 7, because they eventually turn into like beautiful women, and he's singing this at a park with little children,
That's disgusting.
and it's like it comes
Yeah,
across
creepy.
like in 58, like, oh, that's charming. Like if you played this in the theaters
It doesn't
today,
grow well. Yeah,
you would have,
doesn't age well.
after the 5th minute, you'd have everyone's mouth so like much
What the
agape.
heck is this?
It'd be like,
Yes.
what? It'd be like
Yeah.
the scene in The Producers after like Springtime for Hitler. Like, yeah. So like it's bizarre, nuts.
I have
Yeah.
to say, I'm a little biased. I'll say my number one, and you'll say yours, Charlie. My favorite Best Picture movie ever is actually kind of a recent one. It's Slumdog Millionaire. I love that film so much. It not because I was on the U.S. version and blah, but the story of being in the slums and this kid is in front on the hot seat, and all these questions relate to his life, and they go back and flash back to his life. I just thought it was one of the most moving movies. It had me gripped the entire time. And just the culture of India and just in general, I love that film so much. That is
I have a couple
absolutely
things to
one of
say
my
about that. It's fascinating that you bring up that movie because it
Why
has
is
a
that?
lot of relevance to this year specifically, which I'll go into. But yeah, for Slumdog, you have Danny Boyle, who is one of the great directors.
Absolutely.
Alex Garland, who wrote it, who directed a little movie called Civil War this year, which I'm a big fan of. Danny Boyle, at that point, he did 3 movies in a row, 2007, 2008, 2009, which I think are like the most impressive 3 movies I've seen back to back to back. First was Sunshine, which is a science fiction film that now you look at the cast and you go, what? Because it's like Cillian Murphy, Michelle Yeoh, it's like all these Oscar winners. It's like, it's amazing. Chris Evans before Captain America. It's fantastic. Then you go to Slumdog, fantastic. Dev Patel, which
Love Dev
another
Patel.
reason another reason for this year, Monkey Man, which Dev directed and starred in, is a fantastic action film. Martial arts. I was not expecting to see Dev Patel, the guy from
Yeah,
Slumdog,
action
as
star,
an action
right?
star, and
Yeah,
he
yeah.
absolutely sells it, and he directs it fantastically. Jordan Peele produced it with Monkey
Love
Paw
Jordan Peele.
Productions, and so that there's a lot there. And then the following year was 127 Hours, which I think is just an incredible film. I mean, it's a chamber piece. It's very intense, obviously, with that one scene. That's like made people literally sick. But it is just improbably like such a heartwarming, like life affirming tale that it's like three bangers back to back to back, and they all do it. And so I completely agree with you, and I think Slumdog it was a great choice. And if
I
you
mean,
see
Danny
who my
Boyle has a great
oh, he's
reservoir of
great,
work.
right?
I mean, Slumdog is definitely my absolute favorite movie. But yeah, he has a lot of great pictures that he's one of those people I'll just watch over and over again. You know,
28 Days Later,
28 Days Later, Train Spotting,
Train Spotting. God,
yesterday
Train
didn't get
Spotting.
enough. Yesterday did not get enough
I did
credit.
not like
You
Yesterday.
didn't like Yesterday? I loved
No,
Yesterday.
no,
I
I'm so
loved it.
disappointed with Yesterday. I
Yeah.
found it really trite, and then the scene with
Well, because no one knows the
John
Beatles
Lennon.
songs. Yeah.
Not that, but like the scene with John Lennon, I thought was brutal.
Oh yeah, when they go see him, when he
Yeah,
goes to
yeah, and
see
he's just a
him,
normal guy who's living his life or whatever, and I'm
and
like,
then get assassinated, and
or just
yeah,
whatever. But like, I'm like, ooh. And then the ending, I just felt was just so when he's like proposing to her, almost like at this concert or whatever. I'm
yeah.
like, that's not you, Danny. You're more subtle than that. Come
The beach.
on.
You have the beach, right?
Oh, okay. Well, the beach is crazy.
Yeah, it is.
That's a fever dream of a movie. I'll tell you that. It's not
That's
great.
something. That's something to call it.
It's not a great movie at all. But like, you want to see early DiCaprio. Yeah, no, that's
But
interesting.
Train Spotting is also a
Trainspotting
fantastic
is
movie.
fantastic. I even like
Yeah.
the sequel. I thought was very good. Not obviously not as up to par with the original, but yeah. No, we're on the same page here. We're thinking
Train
with Danny
Spotting was like
Boyle.
late '90s, right? That's when that
Yeah,
came out.
Ewan
Yeah,
McGregor
Ewan
starring.
McGregor. Yeah,
Obviously, it's
before he was Obi-Wan Kenobi.
it's like a least it's like a less depressing uh Requiem for a Dream. I don't know if you've seen Requiem for a Dream,
Yeah,
but that's got to be the most depressing film I've ever seen. Like I can't watch that again. Like it's so disturbing that like I mean
yeah.
if you want your kids to never do drugs, specifically heroin, show them that movie.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely. I mean, and maybe that was the point, you know.
No, it was. I think it's
Yeah,
a great movie. I think it's a
yeah,
fan. Aronofsky is a genius in and of himself.
yeah.
But you know, that one that's crazy.
I was going to
That's
ask
crazy.
you, so what, I know this is a tough subject, but
Yeah.
speaking of movies you like, what was the movie you think is the best Holocaust era movie that takes place during that period of time?
Cool. All right. So interesting. I mean, I got to get Schindler's List.
Yeah, me too.
Um, it's just a wonderful movie. It's really hard to watch, but it's still very uplifting, which is tough to do. How about
What?
this? Don't make your Holocaust movies comedies.
Oh, 100%.
And
100%.
and I'm not including Jojo Rabbit in that because I thought
Yeah,
that was brilliant because I
yeah.
love Taika Waititi always have. But like Life is Beautiful. Oh my God, that movie makes me want to throw up. Like, and obviously, I don't know if you've ever heard of The Day the
I've s-
Clown Cried. Jerry Lewis's infamous movie he never let anyone
Oh
see,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
which is finally coming out this year. I don't know if you guys know about this, but Jerry
I
Lewis plays he's a prisoner in like Auschwitz or whatever, and they make him dress up he's a clown in whatever in movie. And they make him dress up as a clown so he can be essentially the Pied Piper leading the kids into the gas chambers,
Oh my goodness gracious.
which is such a horrifying concept
Ugh,
and execution
ugh. No,
that he
thank you.
never let anyone see it until
I
he
don't
died.
blame him. I wouldn't want to see it either. I don't want to see
Uh,
that. Yeah, I mean, as
yeah,
probably
no.
as just to know what it is. I guess you want to see it, and I don't know. I'll tell you my two real quick, if you don't mind. Schindler's List is number one, without a doubt. I love the scene. Not love the scene. I like when Spielberg goes to present day and takes them to the cemetery and shows that at the end. I thought that was important. I actually went to Schindler's List when it came out in the theaters with my wife's grandmother, who's no longer with us, who was an Auschwitz survivor. And when we left the theater after the film ended, she had goosebumps, and she lost a lot of family members, and she goes, that's the most realistic portrayal of the time I have ever seen. And the second movie that is one of my favorites is Boy in the Striped Pajamas. I like that.
Okay.
I I get emotional with that one. That's a tough one.
I will say
Yeah,
that I
those are-
think that if we're gonna, if there's a movie that's close to Schindler's List, it's The Zone of Interest,
yeah,
which is obviously the movie that came out this year. You don't see anything, okay? You just hear it. And that's
right,
the
which
point.
is even more frightening, honestly.
Right, it's the point. And
Yeah.
you have all these Nazis playing house essentially right next to like smoke rising, and like we
Yeah.
all know what that is.
Yeah.
And ash falling, and so it's so disturbing.
I actually saw that film. Yeah.
But the thing is, at the end, that you'll note there's some, they do something very similar to what Spielberg does, or Jonathan Glazer does something very similar to what he does with Schindler's Law, with what Spielberg did with Schindler's List, where he does give like a picture of the vision of the future at the very end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you have to end a movie like that with some kind of hope I believe the message is that, we survive, and, we're moving forward, and, you don't let the past dictate who we are, in the future. And I think that's kind of like why I found that to be. Mind you, I will tell you this straight up. I've only seen Schindler's List once because I feel like I've seen it. Like, I don't need to watch it again and again and again to know what it is. I mean, I did show it. I guess I watched it more than once because I used to show it to my students when we were talking when I was teaching about the Holocaust. So I mean, Boy in the Striped Pajamas was another one I would show also. You don't go. I find that a good Holocaust movie is educational, and entertaining in a way to get to your heart, to understand that the human condition and what can happen with the human condition. But it's not something I need to watch again and again to kind of know that.
You're not watching it for pleasure.
No,
I think it needs to be
Yeah.
just like on a like an existential level, just terrifying.
I
it needs to
agree
be
with you.
horrifying.
So that's one of your articles, huh?
Yeah, no, obviously, in the article you'll read, I am half Jewish, so it is more personal to people who are Jewish, because once again, we're raised from the very early, like from the time we're like 4 or 5, everybody wants to kill you, and then you're like, wait, why? And then you learn the reason, and you're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's just like, so yeah, we're primed for it, and it didn't happen all that long ago, and
No.
it's an existential threat, because it can happen again. Why not?
Anything, there's a poem I used to teach my students is
Sure.
and I'll kind of paraphrase it, but it's like, he got them, and then they were gone, and then they got them, and I forget the name of it, and then it came to them,
exactly.
and then there was none. There was nobody left.
There's nobody left, right?
And that
exactly.
is that's the truest of true.
First they
We
came
all
for
have
them,
to-
then they came for them.
That's
Yeah.
correct. We all have to kind of work together so that threat, it doesn't get to all of us, because eventually, you get one group, it's on to the next group, and it's on to the next group, because hate doesn't know a boundary.
Do the right thing. Here's my motto. It's very simple. I live by 2 rules. Don't be a dick. Do the right thing.
Exactly.
It's not that hard.
Be kind. Be nice. Be nice to people.
really
It's not always easy. Believe me, being kind is not always the easiest thing. But still, I think that if everyone, lived by that, and
the golden rule.
And then obviously we have the environment, obviously, in this country, which is chaos. But at least we have game shows and movies.
Nice way to bring it back.
Geography, because if not, I think I'd go crazy.
Yeah.
Than I already am.
Thank God for pop culture in general, right? Yeah. Thank God for
Yeah.
music and movies and sports and well,
Yeah,
you
why
not
would
so
I
much,
don't
but
care about the real
yeah.
world. I'm
As long as
gonna.
you're defeating us in fantasy baseball, it's all good.
Oh, dude, that's all I need to do because I'm addicted to it. I don't know why. Charlie, it's the most frustrating thing because I don't like baseball. Charlie knows this. And some of the things that happen are the most infuriating things ever, especially in fantasy baseball.
Oh, you want to
I
talk to
have
a Cubs or a Mets fan about that?
I've lost a couple of championships in the most insane ways that, like, I kid you not, like I was sobbing. I had a year where I was going to win both championships in both our leagues, only to lose to Charlie in one, which was, it was close, but he beat me,
Well,
and
that's
then
a
to
little less painful
another
because it's
friend
your friend.
in our bigger one, and in which 20 different things had to happen, 20, in order for this guy to win, and each of the 20 things happened.
It's like a train wreck in slow motion.
He was like a 0.1% chance of winning with like 20 minutes left in the last Sunday of the day. To the point where he thought he had lost. I called him up and I'm like, congratulations. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like,
let me bring our listeners up to speed real quick, just for them to get the full picture.
Sure.
You and Charlie, as we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, have known each other since kindergarten. Charlie graciously brought me into the league this year. Thank you, Charlie, and thank you. So I am in the league with Sam and Charlie, and while Sam is leading the league, I would be called a dweller of the bottom. Would be, because it's a keeper, So in the keeper league, for those that don't know, a keeper league is a league that goes on every year, and you keep the players that you want to keep. So when you have a newbie like me going into a keeper league, let's just say I don't get the best conditional players. I think actually I remember a couple of texts to Charlie in the beginning whining about, what do I get this person from? What is this? What is this? And then we do the draft and like, what the heck? What am I doing this anyway for? Why am I even bothering with the draft? And then I get Jackson Holiday. So that's okay. All right. So so I offer
I understand
myself
what you're talking about.
I offer myself some grace. That's all I'm saying.
You deserve it too. And I was in the same boat as you because I actually briefly retired in both leagues for 2 years because it got too intense for me. And like, so I just like can't do it anymore. And finally, I was able to, I've done something, life has gotten a little bit better. So I've been able to now enjoy, it again without taking it like too
seriously.
Believe me, I'm obsessive about
You're
it.
a competitive guy.
I'm not gonna miss like a start or like if somebody's benched, he's gonna get replaced real quick. So I maximize my roster and that's why I'm really good. But like that's because I'm a competitive guy. But I don't care about baseball.
That's good enough. That's respect.
Oh, and Tim, I was talking to Tim about this. Charlie's Charlie's biggest regret in life. The thing he didn't get to do.
The road trip?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were discussing that. And Tim was like, that's unbelievable. I'm like, yeah, they wrote it up in the yearbook and everything. And what happened was, real quick.
That's a baseball lover's dream. Yeah, tell the story.
And a couple of our friends, one who actually is pretty high up in Major League Baseball, very successful there.
I am aware of such friend.
Yes. The three of us took a road trip in the summer before our senior year of high school. We took my car and it was the three of us. And from Chicago, which me and Charlie are from, we went started in Cincinnati, saw a game at Great American Ballpark, went up to Cleveland, saw a game at what was then Progressive or whatever they call it. Then went to Pittsburgh, saw a game at the beautiful PNC Park. Then
that's a great park.
Then this is amazing because I can't believe our friend was able to figure this out in terms of the dates and everything. But he was able to find a day where the Mets were playing a day game at Shea and the Yankees were playing a night game at
Yankee Stadium.
And this is the final year of Yankees. So in that day, we literally started out with a one-hitter from Steve
Steve
Traxel.
Traxel.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
at Met Stadium, and then went early to Yankee, so we could go into the back and see all the stuff, Monuments Row and all that stuff.
Love that.
And the
Yeah.
last Yankee gas, it was the last year at the old Yankee, so it's like 2003,
Mhm.
and we're 10 rows behind. I don't know how you got the seats. 10 rows behind the home plate. In a game in which like they're playing the Royals, and like this was like the first time the Royals were good in like 30 years or something like that.
And the
Unbelievable.
Yankees in 2003 were a great team in that
They were.
period
So
of time.
then
They went to the World Series against the Marlins. Yay.
they did. That was a fun
Yeah.
year for
The Marlins
Chicago.
won.
Yeah. But then we went up to Fenway, saw a game at Boston. It was amazing. Again, on my birthday, we drove down to Baltimore, saw a game at Camden.
Love
And
Camden,
then,
one of my favorite parts.
oh yeah, and then finished it off with a trip to Comerica in Detroit, which the city itself is terrifying. That in Cleveland, oh my God. But yeah, so those, and then back home, all in the span of 7 days. And
Wow.
it was in our yearbook, and it's a pretty famous trip. So yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And
That's a trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Charlie's mom, was it your mom?
Yeah, I think it was probably ultimately her call, but yeah, she was a no-go. I wasn't allowed to go. And one of our other friends was the inverse, where he basically, without getting them into too much trouble, made it so they could check into hotels. Let's just leave it at that.
How did he do that when we were
Some weird stuff was going on, so mom kind of got the gist of that. It's like, no,
so
not
polar
happening.
opposites. I wasn't allowed to go, versus they went extra miles to make sure that they could go.
Yes, that is very true. That is very true. Some of what we did wasn't necessarily legal
By the
at
book.
the time.
Senior
By
trip.
the book. But yeah, so but it was epic, and
pretty sure the statute of limitations of about 21 years cleared, so you're safe there.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
And so once again, we would go to Wrigley in the summer. We would always go on. We would take the L. And we'd go and we'd always hit up the bleachers. We'd hang out in the bleachers.
It's the best place, I heard.
Oh man, there was a game I remember where the game where Adam Dunn made 4 errors in left field, Charlie.
I do remember that game.
How oh my God, he was getting some of the greatest heckles I've like ever heard, like nonstop.
They were
just
ruthless.
Getting just ruthless. Getting destroyed. So much fun. And then we have a friend, one of the friends that went on the road trip. His family owns a small percentage of the White Sox. So we get like ridiculous like free seats. Like we've probably been to hundreds of
Unfortunately, it's the White Sox.
Yeah, as Charlie would say.
How many games have they won this year?
Unfortunately for our friends who are Sox fans as well, we feel
sorry.
Right,
that's
but
okay. As a Mets fan, I'm
to answer your
anti-Yankee.
question, Tim, they're 15-47 present moment. It's not good.
They're worse than the Mets. I mean, if
they're
you know
worse than
anything,
every other team in the history of baseball at their current pace.
If you know anything about New York sport, when you're in New York and you're a New York sports fan, it's very polarizing. You're either a Rangers or Islanders fan. You're either a Mets or a Yankees fan. You're either a Giants or a Jets fan. There is no both. Very rare. So if you are a Mets fan, you do not like the Yankees at all. And I have a feel. I heard that in Chicago, it's kind of similar with the White Sox.
It's very, very similar.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we all come together in the fall for our Bears.
The Bears.
Yeah, and we love our hockey team, and we love our Blackhawks. Blackhawks provided us with 3 championships in the last 15 years. So thank you guys. And
I want to give a shout out to the Florida Panthers who are going into the Stanley Cup final.
Congratulations!
Good luck to your Ice Cats, as we like to call them.
Ice Cats. Let the rats on the ice. Yeah,
I've never understood hockey in Florida, but yeah.
But look, right now, the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers are 2 great hockey teams. It took a long time for the Panthers to get there, but this team has been great for several years. And I'm not a huge hockey fan by any means, but I remember in the old days it was at the Miami Arena, and how the rats came about. They used to have these plastic rats, and whenever the Panthers would win, they would throw out these plastic rats on the rink, and that's how it kind of caught on. They don't allow that anymore, but it's interesting.
The
that
Blackhawks have one of my favorite traditions in all of
What's that?
sports, and it's the national anthem.
what do they do?
Where Jim Cornelison is a famous opera singer in Chicago, and the Blackhawks he's been like the singer for the last 20 years, national anthem. As soon as he starts singing, the entire stadium goes nuts.
I love
Like,
that.
you can barely hear him sing. Like he did it on like the 9/11 anniversary of the 10-year at the Bears.
So something
when
really
they were at
serious.
yeah, and everyone just so loud, deafening, but like in a proud way, in a prideful way. Like yeah, rah rah America, like yeah, like that type of thing.
I will say this real
Amazing.
quick. I could talk to you forever. So we're gonna wrap up in a second, but I
Yeah.
could say this real quick. Even as a New York fan, there is no bigger sports fan on the planet, in my opinion, than a Chicago sports fan. There is no dedicated. I don't think there's any city in this country that soccer in Europe is another story. I don't think there's any city in the United States that has a biggest fan base than Chicago. Period. Whether it be the White Sox, the Cubs, the Bears.
It's a pure dedication. I think.
Absolutely.
We've been through
And
a lot.
We've been through a lot. I mean, obviously, we've had some of the greatest teams ever, but like most of the
Also
time,
a
it's
lot
been
of
really
suffering.
lousy.
2015,
the
you guys
Bulls.
died and got to heaven with the Cubs.
Yeah, but remember the Bulls. The Bulls haven't been good. I mean, the Bulls have been good, but the Bulls have not won a title since Jordan. And the Bears.
But we
won
got to see 6 of them, so
yeah,
but
we were
kinda
young
due for a while. We were young,
And it
but-
wasn't even just Jordan. It was Jordan, Pippen, Rodman. I mean, that team
Right.
itself.
I mean,
It wasn't.
and
Jordan, of
everybody.
course, was an important part of it. We won't talk about when
The
he went to
Last
go play
Dance?
minor leagues for the White Sox.
Well, you remember who
Baseball.
hit the game-winning shot to win our
The
fifth
Last Dance.
championship. To win our fifth championship, it would be the coach of the Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr.
Steve Kerr, yeah. Well,
And don't forget the 3rd championship, John Paxson.
Oh God, Charlie's favorite ever
My
player,
guy.
John Paxson. Paxson for 3, one of the greatest
Kaboom.
moments in sports history when the Bulls came back to beat the Suns. Improbably, they were in that game 6 when I was up in my room. I kid you not, with tears in my eyes, crying because I assumed it was going to game 7, going back to Phoenix. And like my dad was consoling me, and I remember my mom coming up and going like, "You might want to come back down and like watch this." And it just Paxson for 3.
So, from my perspective, and I'm not a Chicago fan again, for perspective, but anytime the Bulls came to town, whether I was living in New York or living in Florida, the game was sold out. You could not get tickets anywhere around the country because everybody wanted to see Jordan. Jordan was bigger than the game. Jordan, Last Dance. But Jordan, there's no player that I think will ever be as iconic as he was.
I mean, they're arguably the most iconic franchise still in the world when it comes to like you go around the world and you're like NBA, they go
Absolutely.
Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan.
That logo, even the logo is well known to the Fire basketball. No, that's the Heat.
Yeah, no.
But I was
Our logo
jealous.
is great,
I
by the
will
way.
say-
Real quick, our logo, if you turn it upside down, looks like wasn't it like an alien head or like an alien spaceship or what? Yeah, really funny.
The Miami Heat had a pretty good team for a number of years, but when you guys we were babies when Jordan was really in his prime, as a team. There's no team that I think in the history of sports that was as good as that Chicago Bulls team, and I don't think it will. I'm talking basketball now. Baseball, you could talk about other things, the Yankees with Gehrig and Ruth and all that stuff.
I would actually really quickly say that most Chicagoans would not say that is the greatest Chicago team ever.
85 Bears.
85 Bears.
Oh, you mean here? I get to do it again. We are the Bears, shuffling through. What? The Super Bowl shuffle? Jim McMahon, Refrigerator Perry.
We are the Bears, shuffling through, shuffling on down, doing it for you. We're so bad, we know we're good, blowing your mind like we knew we would. You know we're just strutting for fun, strutting our stuff for everyone. We're not here to start no trouble, we're just here
defense, which is
Peyton.
all the entire defense, which is in the Hall of Fame. So
Sweetness.
Rest in peace. Walter
McMahon
Payton.
just got in. Yay, Stephen McMahon. Stephen McMichael, I mean. Stephen
Mongo.
McMichael. Mongo finally got in. And that was amazing. And it was
Walter
great to
Payton's
see.
one of my favorite players of all time. Rest in peace.
Well, I think my favorite, Devin Hester, is kind of it. And so to see him get in the Hall of Fame this year was incredible. Great to see.
Those SNL skits, the Bears.
The Bears.
Iconic.
Best up.
Well, Sam, Sam, I could talk to you forever.
Absolutely,
we definitely need to have you back, buddy.
Sure.
You definitely
Absolutely.
I'd be my pleasure. This was a lot
Absolutely.
of fun.
Had a ball.
Yeah.
We are going to have Sam back very soon for his schedule. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining us, Sam.
Yeah, absolutely, Tim. And Charlie, it's love the show. Good job, guys. And I can't wait to keep on listening.
Well, you're part of it now.
Appreciate it. And we'll definitely have to make sure we try to find a bar trivia night that we could do.
Oh,
Yeah,
100%.
Tim's in
absolutely.
Chicago.
I'll be in there. I'll be in Chicago the weekend of the 21st. So yeah.
Real quick. And
2
yeah,
weeks.
once again, I will send
Yes.
you the link to the website, which you can put on there.
Everybody check out Sam's website. It's going to be in our description. And let's help him out. Let's help him grow his product. Absolutely. And thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
This is Around the Bases, the pop culture and sports podcast. I'm Tim Sternberg with my buddy
Charlie Seymour. And thanks
we'll-
again to special guest Sam Frink.
Thank you, Sam Frank.
Professor.
The Professor Frank. Yes.
Thanks, guys.
We'll see you next week, everyone. Bye.